In this video, Kevin and I are going to be talking about the movies and TV shows that we watched during the month of June. I don't even know if I have any movies on here, honestly. Do I have any movies?
We went to the movies.
Oh, that's right. That's on here. Okay. So, yes, that is on here. Okay, I watched by myself, and I would totally watch this again with Kevin if he wanted to, A Small Light. So this was a recommendation from several of you all last month mentioned this, A Small Light. It is about Miep, a Dutch woman who risked her life to shelter Anne Frank's family from the Nazis for more than 2 years during World War II. Honestly, I had no idea what it was about when I went into it. I thought it was about Anne Frank. I thought it was just another story of Anne Frank. And it is not. It focuses on Miep and her husband, and it's terrific. It is absolutely terrific. The actors did such a great job, and she, the leading woman who plays Miep, she is just so fun to watch, and you never want to, when she's on the screen, you never want to take your eyes off her, because she's just such a great actor. And the whole thing, the costumes and
looked good.
The places where they were, and it was very, very well done. Then I watched Shiny Happy People. Shiny Happy People. Anyway, I can't say that without thinking of the REM song. The Duggar Family Secrets. It was on Amazon, and it's about the Bill Gothard cult. And it is about things that you don't hear about the Duggar family. So if you ever watch 19 Kids and Counting, or Counting On, or anything with the Duggar family, this was very interesting, and it kind of, once you start hearing about that Bill Gothard stuff, you realize that it's just how they look at children and women and girls in general, and how they're treated, and just the rules they have to follow, and it's just absurd. It's just craziness. It was very interesting. Then Kevin and I both watched the end of Ted Lasso. So that ended right at the beginning of the month.
Yeah,
right
it ended really well.
June.
I like how they ended it.
And I don't know how some people can be confused that might come back on again.
I think they were just hoping.
Oh, okay. Because they ended it. They ended it.
Truly ended.
Yes, and they went through each of the characters and showed what they were doing. And if you haven't watched it, I won't give it away, although you should have watched it now probably if you're in love with the show. But I think he's crazy. Just know that. I think Ted made a mistake. I think he's a nut. And if you watch the show and you know me, then you know why I feel that way. But I don't agree with the decision that he made. But there you go. Okay.
It ended well. I really did enjoy the whole thing.
Yes, I enjoyed the whole series. I'm sad that it's over. Only Murders in the Building. So, Only Murders in the Building. So far, there are 2 seasons out, and there's another one that's coming back in August, right?
I can't remember. I know it's coming back out.
Okay. So, it has Martin Short and Steve Martin and Selena Gomez. And they all live in a building called the Arcadia in New York. And it's a really old,
big old
building with lots of history. And so... in the first season, there is...
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, there's a murder, and those 3 people that I named, Martin Short and Steve Martin and Selena Gomez, they come together, they're neighbors, and they come together to solve the mystery.
Through a podcast.
Right. So then the second season is basically the same thing, but it's
something else. It basically continues on the story.
Yeah. And it's really good.
It's good, and it's got its funny moments, and it's not a comedy by any means, but it's not a dark story either. It's kind of kind of a light murder mystery.
Yes, it's a lighter murder mystery, but you couldn't watch it if you don't want your kids to hear a bunch of cussing, then you would not want to watch it with your kids, because Selena Gomez does cuss. I mean, and it's not like every other word or anything, but she does, say some words that you probably wouldn't want, that aren't on regular TV. And so I would just want you to know that it's not for kids, but it is a lighter murder mystery show.
And Steve Martin and
Martin Short, okay.
Yeah. Got confused for a second. They always work really well together. They really bounce each other, things off each other really well.
Yes,
so,
I
they've been working together for years, so they really work together.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. So we did watch the first 2 seasons.
And I think it's funny too. They play into their being old, because they're older and they're older actors, so they play into that character. They don't try to hide it or sugarcoat it. They
no, and I
play
like
old
it.
people.
And I tell you, I'm glad you said that, because Shirley MacLaine's in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And
in the second season,
Shirley MacLaine, I have to say, I have a lot of respect and admiration for her. You can tell that she's never had any work done. Her face...
Or if she did, it was really well done. But it doesn't look like she has.
No, her face looks like the face. And I mean this as no insult, because I'm praising her for it. Her face looks like a regular elderly person's face. It looks like
it looks like her.
What it should. Yeah, this is what it should look like. It doesn't look like she's pumped full of fillers and Botox and everything.
Unlike Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Steve Martin looks...
I think he's got some...
Steve Martin looks quite a bit different from the way he used to look. You can tell he's had some work done.
He's gotten some little work, it seems like. Not major things. But
I'd say if you live there, people in California look very, very different from the way they look around here. Mm-hmm. You don't see... I don't think as many people that look the way a person of their age would naturally look, because they have given in and they feel the pressure, and they feel like they're made to feel even older because everybody else around them looks a certain way. And so you kind of forget that that's not what normal people look like. They don't look like these Real Housewives with the big lips and the plump this and the no
stretch that.
Yeah, where they can cry and nothing moves. Their whole face, nothing moves.
Or get mad.
The only reason they're crying is because you can see it falling, but nothing's moving.
Or they're mad and screaming as loud as they can, and there's no wrinkles.
No. So Shirley MacLaine, I do have to say that it's like, wow, it's actually refreshing to see a woman who embraces aging, just aging naturally, and there are people in Hollywood that do, but it's just rare. Yeah. So then Kevin and I both watched Race to Survive Alaska.
Mm-hmm. That was different.
Yes. You want to tell what it's about?
It's just basically a survival show. It's kind of like, if you like the show Naked and Afraid, it's kind of like that, but it's not quite that severe. They get rations, they get a trail, and it's kind of a mix between that and Amazing Race, if you think about it.
See, I've never watched Naked and Afraid, so I don't know. I've never seen it.
One episode, they literally drop them in the jungle and they're naked and they have to survive.
I can't even imagine.
They're like literally physically naked.
Cannot imagine.
Blurred out on TV.
Yeah,
naked.
And these people filming them are seeing their naked bodies the whole time. They just,
well, usually they work on getting some kind of covering at some point in time. But anyway, they started at one spot. There was like 7 teams to start.
It's people in teams. So it's teams
it's a team of 2.
Of 2.
And they're basically getting from one spot to another in Alaska. So they went through glaciers, they hiked through bush and deep forest, and it's just all kinds of different things. And it's whoever gets there last gets eliminated. And it was good. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I mean, I would watch another season of it again.
Oh yeah, I would watch another season.
They could do that in Canada just as easily. Some of the areas in Canada look just as wild as Alaska does.
Yes, it's amazing how much of Alaska where there's like nobody. Wilderness, yeah, there's nobody around. Mm-hmm. But they get the winning team gets $500,000. Yeah, that's the prize
between the 2 of them.
And this is like they're given, the rations that they're given is just so minimal. And
literally like some beef jerky and some dried salmon and
yes.
some tuna or something.
And
it's
so
very little.
These people are genuinely suffering, and they
And
were
it's
not allowed to have a tent, right?
They had tarps.
They had
a tent in one section because it was really cold.
Yes, but that was only because it was really cold.
Right. The other areas they had like a tarp that they could string up and block some of the rain and stuff. But it was like 45 days long, this race was.
Yes, it was very
So they were out racing for 45 days. There was no going back to town for a day or two or anything like that, or hotel room rest.
Well,
or anything.
they didn't come in contact with any like the Amazing Race. You get to see other people in towns and places like that.
And each leg, they sleep in a hotel.
Right.
You know?
This is, you are literally out in the wilderness. You're out and you don't see any towns. You don't see any stores or anybody else besides people in the race.
I think if you like Naked and Afraid, you would enjoy this kind of show. It was good.
I would like to see Naked and Afraid just to see what it's like.
You ought to watch one. We could probably find an episode we could watch.
Yeah, I would like
see what
that.
You like.
Yeah, but
because sometimes and they're strangers too. So they're like they might put a man and a woman, two men, two women, whatever, together.
And you've just got naked people walking up,
running around, surviving, making stuff, hunting, getting stuff. Yeah,
you probably, you know.
That's the whole point. Is can you survive and get to a spot with nothing?
Right.
Whereas with the race across Alaska, they had camping stuff or equipment and things like that.
Oh yeah. The naked thing is a big deal because we are so used to having clothes.
It makes you uncomfortable.
I mean, really.
Well, it makes some people uncomfortable.
Really, though, I mean, everybody has the same parts, you know, pretty much.
Depends on the society you're raised in. You know, some societies don't care.
Yeah, they wouldn't care at all, and it wouldn't bother them at all. So I'd say, you know, it's no different than going to a nudist camp. It's like, why, you know, it's not a big deal. It's not sexualized.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's just a body.
Yep.
It's just a woman or it's just a man. It doesn't always have to be sexual.
I mean, I would feel very uncomfortable naked, but you know, that's just that's how we were raised.
I haven't seen Kevin's feet in all these over 30
I wear
years.
socks at all times. No, I don't. I go to bed without socks on.
The light goes out, and then. But I want to say too, as pretty as Alaska is, it's still, I think Canada, oh my gosh.
I think Alaska's pretty too. I think they were basically the same. When you talk about that rough
I think Canada, from the last episode of The Amazing Race that we watched of Canada, they were in Canada. And I'm telling you, it's just stunning. And there's so many different...
race across the world.
Race Across the World. Yeah, that's what it was. Race Across the World. They were in Canada. And there's just so many different climates and different, like,
I think Alaska had the same thing, though.
They did.
I think they were basically the same.
You did.
They looked almost identical.
See, I didn't think so. I thought Canada was that much
So anyway,
prettier.
if you see that one around, you're interested. It was a good show.
So we're watching, I skipped one. We're watching Succession, and we're still watching Succession. We're on the third season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the second episode.
The third season now. So I wrote down, the Roy family is known for controlling the biggest media and entertainment company in the world. However, their world changes when their father steps down from the company. That's just the basic blurb from it. Which
is not 100% accurate if you think about it.
No, but that's what they've given you on Internet Movie Database, so that's what I'm going to go with.
Right. We don't want to give you anything away.
No.
Because it's definitely worth watching. And it's over, right?
It's over now, so you can binge the whole thing. So Kevin and I are trying to watch one episode every single night.
They're hour-long episodes.
I never expected to see Fuller, who wets the bed. I never expected to see him playing one of the lead roles. Mm-hmm. So, if you don't know, in Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin's brother, Kieran Culkin, is that his name? Kieran? I wrote it down. Yeah, Kieran Culkin. He plays Fuller. And they say, you don't want to sleep with Fuller because he wets the bed. And he's the one that's sitting at the table and the chair
gets the chair squashed against him.
Okay, I never expected to see him. We'll talk about this in a minute. Okay, so we didn't expect to see him. And then we kept seeing this guy, and it's like, good looking guy. And it's like, he is familiar. We know him from something. What do we know him from?
And then I didn't have to look it up. I remember.
The character he plays is Tom Wamskins. I don't know how to say his last name. He plays Tom.
That's what they call him in the show too.
Yeah. His real name is Matthew McFadden. He's the main detective, like the main dude in Ripper Street.
Yeah, he was the main character.
He looks so different.
I think he's gotten thinner. He was heavier in Ripper Street.
He was heavier,
but he seemed shorter. I always thought he seemed shorter, but then again, he was with that really tall, lanky guy that was in Game of Thrones.
Oh, and I love him.
Yeah,
we love him.
With the beard.
Yes.
He was with him, and she's really tall and skinny.
Yeah.
So he always looked shorter and heavier. But now you see him as just, he's a normal size.
We should look up that redheaded guy and see if he's been in anything lately that we can watch.
I
like doing that. When I find somebody that I like, then I'll go look for them on their Internet Movie Database, and I'll say, okay, what else are they in, so that I can go watch them in that too, because I like them so much.
I think I've seen him in something else.
But he looks so different that, and the clothes, you know, Ripper Street takes place a long time ago, and so you've got a completely different time period.
Yeah, he's dressed all preppy in suits and sweater vests.
But he's awesome. But it's a really good show. So, okay, so my question is, who is your favorite character in that? Because I really like Kieran. He plays, his name is Roman in the show. Yeah. And I love him. I think he's brilliant. He's hilarious.
I've got people I don't like. I don't think I necessarily have a favorite. I
think he's my favorite. I love watching him and seeing what it's like, what is going to come out of his mouth next, because he's just a wild card.
Yeah, I don't know that I really have a favorite. I mean, I like him as a character, but I don't know. For the goal of the show, I don't think I like him. But I like him as a character.
Right. And the main guy, the dad,
I like him.
He reminds me of my dad.
Yeah, he does a good job.
My dad does not cuss all the time or anything like that like him. But as far as like that man and
the way he acts
and his body and his age and everything, it's like I'm watching my dad on the screen.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
That's what it feels like. Okay, then we watched, I watched by myself, Being Mary Tyler Moore. It was on Max, which was HBO. And it just covers the career of Mary Tyler Moore. It talks about her being on the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Dick Van Dyke in her early years. It talks about how she was a dancer, and I never knew she had a great voice. And I grew up watching the Mary Tyler Moore Show because my mom loved it. And when Mary Tyler Moore was younger, like when she's in Mary Tyler Moore and she's throwing up her hat, that looked like my mom. My mom looked a lot like that at that age.
Same hair and everything.
Yeah, so I feel like in the mini skirts, the 60s mini skirts, like
yeah, they did look a lot alike.
They really do look a lot alike. And so when I see pictures of her when she's younger, it reminds me of my mom. Yeah. So it's really neat.
Yeah.
But my mom always loved watching that show, and her apartment that she had, and it had a step up, and then it had a neat kitchen where you could it had like a window, and then you could open the window between the two, and I don't know.
I always liked Dick Van Dyke show better. But
I like Dick Van Dyke too, and I didn't really get to know Dick Van Dyke until probably
Nick at Night or something.
Nick at Night, probably around 19.
I mean, that was long before I was born, or earlier than I was born.
But around 1988, 1989, they were showing at Nick at Night. They would show Dick Van Dyke and Car 54, Where Are You? And so all the shows that were before us, we didn't get to appreciate as kids, but then you could appreciate them through Nick at Night.
Yeah.
And
I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, that was really good. Then, oh my gosh, I watched a show on Max called Wall Street. It's W-A-H-L, Wahl, because it's Mark Wahlberg. And it's taken a day that looks at the day-to-day life of Mark Wahlberg. And I told Kevin, I said, you would not believe how many businesses he has. He is, he has so many businesses going on. Like some people would see him and just think, oh, this is an actor. Mm. No, he owns an RV business in Ohio. But they also have the food, the Wahlburgers food. They have the Wahlburgers restaurant.
See, he reminds me of, what's the guy that used to do American Idol?
Ryan Seacrest?
Ryan Seacrest is into everything just like that too. So they seem similar to each other. They're just different interests, but they're both into everything.
He has a clothing store called it's called Municipal, and so he sells clothes. He's into everything. So I watched it, and I love shows like that. I love seeing like people in their day-to-day life like that, real people. And so I didn't realize there was a whole show called
It's like 5 seasons.
Called Wahlburgers. Well, I want to see it. I would desperately want to see Wahlburgers.
Buy it, basically.
But I thought you said even if we bought it, they don't have all the
only
seasons.
One station. I think there was one channel that had almost all of them.
Oh, well, I want to. So can we pay for that?
Well, you'd have to pay for it. Yeah.
Because
there's no streaming service that just has it.
Right. I really want to see Wahlburgers. Because
we'll look into it.
I enjoyed watching him. And they showed him like when he would go, like he went and spent time in London on a movie set. I enjoyed seeing him, do that. And then you're getting to see all the people that he deals with there and his acting career and how long he's away from his family. Like his family staying here while he's over there. It's just,
all actors are like that.
It's very interesting though. And you don't realize like he might be away for 6 months or something. And you don't realize that because you think, oh, he could just fly back for a little while. But apparently they don't do that.
And they probably could, but they usually don't.
I'm wondering if they're not afraid that if they let you come back, that something could happen.
Break a leg or whatever.
Right. So it's probably part of their contract that they'll stay. I don't know. They don't discuss that. Then we watched the whole latest season of the Great Pottery Throwdown.
That's a good, clean show.
A lot of you all
clean
have told
but dirty.
me. Clean but dirty. A lot of you all have told me that you love the Great Pottery Throwdown.
It's dirty because they're dealing with clay.
They're dealing with clay.
That was the joke.
So what would you say about that?
It's the same as it is every year. I mean, they're not changing up anything. The only thing I don't like is the host.
The woman.
I do not like her. I
He
don't know
doesn't
why.
like the woman.
She annoys me.
Yeah, she's
there was
annoying.
last season there was another woman that took over for her for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes.
And we loved her.
And we loved her.
We
loved her
loved
to
her.
death. She was so funny and fresh and stuff like that. And the woman that normally does it, I just don't like her. I just don't like her personality.
Some people you just don't like.
Yeah.
And there are actresses that I just don't like.
Yeah.
And it's for one reason or another. They just Siobhan.
And she just overdoes things in the show. It's not that, I mean, like, she probably is a nice person, and she's probably a very friendly person, all that stuff. I don't know anything about her. But just on the show, she seems to go overboard, and it's just too much,
I agree. No, I agree.
But the people on the show seem to love her, so in person, she must be really likable. It's just the way she does the hosting, it drives me nuts. So.
But we knew pretty close into the beginning.
Within 2 episodes.
Who was going to win the entire season.
We did the same thing with MasterChef.
Usually.
You
just know. So that's another show we're watching that now. It still is coming on. Is MasterChef.
Just been on a few times.
And I tell you what, one of those guys on MasterChef, I don't have his name for you because I didn't write it down. But you've got Gordon Ramsay, and then you've got I don't know their names. Is the one's name Tom? The one that's a complete jerk.
I think he plays that character on the show.
Well, he shouldn't because
I don't think he's really that bad.
Because he seems like a complete jerk.
I don't think that's
I don't know why I want to call him Tom, but he just comes across as a jerk. Joe. Well, Joe is a jerk, and he's always
like
a
I
jerk.
said, he plays a jerk.
Well, he shouldn't. Why would you want to play?
Got Aaron.
Aaron. Why would you want to play a jerk? So anyway, Joe reminds me of the brother on Succession.
Yeah, Kendall.
Joe and Kendall. So what's funny is Kendall is playing a role. Kendall's playing his role in Succession. Joe, this is supposed to be real Joe on MasterChef. They could be brothers. I think they look alike. I think they talk alike. I think they have the same mannerisms. Joe and Kendall. You tell me if you don't agree.
Joe, what's funny about I think sometimes it's the character though, because sometimes he can be like, this is the best thing ever. I think you'll go far. You know, I want you to work at my restaurant when you're done with this, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then other times he's like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Gordon does the same thing though. And we were watching the auditions basically from each where they cook for them and they tried, and it's so hokey and set up sometimes. It's like like, oh, you've got 2, you need 1 more vote to get through, and then they'll go and then they'll cut out and go to commercial and then come back, and it's like, well, you know they're going to say yes.
It's it's very set up. You can tell
one of them's almost always going to dislike it. And, you know.
But what Kevin and I have a chuckle over is at the beginning of each show, the 3 chefs are standing behind the door.
Yeah, and they got fog rolling. And
they come
lights.
out like they're Marvel heroes, like they're superheroes.
Or sports figures.
Or sports figures walking out on that stage, and the people are cheering, and we're like, seriously?
They do play it like that.
They do. It's like it's like these superheroes are walking out. And you're like,
they are superheroes in the culinary world.
I guess they are. I guess they are. Everybody, I guess, has their own superhero. Yeah. Then I watched this. Well, Kevin watched half of it. Spielberg, it actually came out in 2017, but it's on Max. And it's a documentary about Steven Spielberg. And if you haven't watched it, please watch it, because
he's done so many movies. He's been in so many things. Touched so many things.
It shows like Jaws, and it talks about Jaws.
And the things that went on when they were filming it.
Yes, and like they didn't even have the whole story written and things, and they didn't, the shark wasn't even working and stuff like that. And you got these like behind the scenes things. And then they showed this movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Well, I've never seen that before.
I've seen it like 10 times.
And I asked Kevin, I said, have you ever seen this movie? Close Encounters?
I just looked at her like she was an alien herself.
He did. He's
really?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite science fiction movies.
For an old movie, yeah.
And I've never seen it before.
So we're gonna watch it.
So we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it. But they went over like E.T. and Schindler's List. What else did I write down?
Saving Private Ryan.
Jurassic Park.
Saving Private Ryan, they did that.
Yes. And you get to hear the music from these movies, and it gets you pumped up.
And
you want to
there
watch
were things
them.
about Saving Private Ryan that I didn't know. Like they didn't tell them what was going to go on, so they would actually feel like they were freaking out.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's interesting.
But you had people talking in there, like Tom Hanks did interviews, and you had different interviews from people who have worked with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
George Lucas. George Lucas was in there. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, there was a lot of famous people in there.
I only watched the end of it, but it was good.
Then, let's see. Black Mirror.
It's on Netflix.
Black Mirror has 5 episodes, and they'll never be the same
as like the first 2 seasons.
The first 2 seasons that came out. And
even then, there were stinkers in the first 2 seasons, but most of it was pretty good.
Most of it was pretty good to be like, wow, I would watch that again. This season, there are probably two of the 5 episodes that I would say were decent. Some of them, I'll warn you, end and you never know what happens. Literally, you've watched this whole show and it ends and you're like...
You just have to guess at what's going to happen.
It's ridiculous. It's like, did somebody forget to put a clip in here? Did they forget to write an ending to this? Yeah, you have to write your own ending. And
sometimes that's very creative. You know, you can come up with some wild stuff in your own head.
You can. I guess it gives you something to talk about. Mainly what Kevin and I were talking about was, that sucked. You know, I mean, yeah, that's
there were a couple of good
what
ones.
You're saying at the end of it.
There were a couple of good ones that kind of threw back to that kind of kind of Black Mirror vibe from the
Kinda.
first few seasons, but nothing really hit it.
No, I don't think.
Wasn't as bad as the last season though. I do have to say most of last season I didn't really enjoy at all. And then that choose your own adventure movie thing, I didn't really like it.
Hated the choose.
This was better than those.
There were two that we really, really liked, and people will ask, "What were your favorite two?" One of them was, if you watch them, it's going to be the space one, and it's the one that had the guy in it from Breaking Bad. That one was, and Ashley, our daughter Ashley, she said that was her favorite too. And then my other one that I thought was decent was it was more like a murder mystery, and it was very dark. And I think it was kind of disturbing, I thought. Kevin and I watched it kind of late at night, and I did not like watching that before I went to bed because it was disturbing. And so if you watch
the one in Scotland?
Yeah, I did not, it was,
Lock something.
It was like, yeah.
Something lock something.
Yeah, but those two, the other ones were just...
Well, one was really dark, more of a horror movie. The last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just was a mess.
I don't remember what the first one was.
If you like the first two seasons of Black Mirror, I mean, if you don't want to run it for yourself, just stick with those two and don't watch the new one. To me, it's like,
it was like I said, it was better than the last series was, but it's not as good as the first two.
Then we went.
It was worth watching once.
We went to the movie theater, Regal Theater, to see Elemental with Ashley.
It's a Disney movie.
It's a Disney movie, and we all liked it.
I liked it. You can kind of compare the visuals to kind of Inside Out a little bit. But I think I like the visuals in this better. I like the story in this one better.
I like...
Things are happening more in this one.
Yes, and where Inside Out had like a middle part, it got kind of dry.
Yeah,
it
kind of drawn out.
It kind of like it kind of slumps in the middle for me. Yeah. Inside Out does. This didn't have that. This was going all the time.
It hasn't done great in the box office though, so I don't know why.
But it had a lot of funny moments. I have no idea why.
Yeah, it's a cute movie.
It's really, really cute.
I wonder if people just aren't going to the movies as much since all the COVID stuff and all that stuff.
Maybe.
They slumped there for a while and people just found out at home they can wait around a little while and watch it at home. It's just the same.
Right.
I don't know.
They did, I want to mention, in the beginning, there's a Pixar short, and it's called Carl's Date.
They didn't end it either.
They
left it on a cliffhanger. They didn't end it.
Oh.
They didn't end it either.
I know what you said. It's about, if you've ever seen the movie Up, with Carl, the old man, and then the dog's name is Doug. Doug, D-U-G, Doug. It has Carl and the dog, and that's it. And Carl is going to go out on a date for the first time since his wife died.
Spoiler alert if you haven't watched that.
But of course, yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm saying this. If you've never seen the movie Up, all these little kids watching are probably like,
who's this old for?
Who's this? What's going on?
Most little kids have seen Up. But most kids have seen Up.
When we left the movie theater, that was my only thing. Is like, that was a really good short, and I would love to know what happened. You don't ever know what happened on the date. He's just getting ready for the date. And it was so good, and I want to know what happened on the date. How did the date go?
Yeah, Pixar shorts are always pretty cute.
So I want to know. But I told Ashley and Kevin when we left the theater, I said, little kids, I don't know that was a good thing to have.
I don't think they would get a lot.
Because I don't think they would get it. They don't know about being old and your wife dying and you're going out on a date and those emotions. Yeah, you're uncomfortable and you feel like you love your wife so much and
you know
she
what,
died
the
and
kids
you're almost betraying her by going out with somebody
they don't understand.
new.
That's too deep for them. They probably enjoyed the dog.
The dog's cute.
The dog was doing stuff like, I like to dig in the grass. And that's what the dog was doing.
Right.
And saying these silly little things, and that's what kids want.
But it's a very deep, emotional short to show
an adult,
before a kid's movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was the right choice. But
you know what, though?
I loved it.
I think there's parts of Elemental that were very, very emotional and touching.
Yes, that's true. You
don't tear up in many cartoons, and that one you could tear up in.
We watched Amy Schumer Emergency Contact. Now, I talked about there's 2 actresses that I really just don't care for. One of them is Amy Schumer. I just don't care for her. I don't find her very funny.
It's usually the characters she plays.
I've tried to watch her in shows, and I just don't find her very funny. However, I love a good comedy show, and I saw that was a new comedy special on, and I thought we'll give it a try. And I did laugh probably twice.
It had its moments.
I laughed, I think I counted twice that I actually laughed.
It wasn't as funny as some other ones we've watched, but it was just as good as that Australian one we watched in Australia with a bunch of different comedians.
Yes.
It was about like that.
Yeah.
You know, where a lot of the jokes were like, you know.
Right. And she has a very traditional way of delivering her jokes that once you watch it, you're watching her and you're ready for it because it's the same delivery throughout the whole thing, and she hardly ever moves on the stage. I mean,
no, she's not an active comedian.
No, she's not. It was all right. I wouldn't.
It was okay.
I wouldn't recommend it if you don't. You know,
some of the stories she told were kind of funny, but
then we just started watching. Years and years ago, Kevin and I used to watch the show called Hoarders. And I think it was called Hoarders Buried Alive.
Yeah, at one time it was at least.
Yeah, and we quit watching it for some reason. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. One reason
might have went
or
off
another.
for years too. I don't know.
But we have started watching it again, and I think like the first 4 or 5 episodes have come out. We just watched the first episode, and the first episode's an hour and a half long. I don't know if they're all going to be that long, but this is truly, at least for this first episode, it's mental illness. I mean,
it drives you nuts. You just want to strangle them.
It's total mental illness.
Oh yeah, they just don't see it.
No, they don't see it at all.
And as somebody not suffering that illness and you're dealing with it, you literally want to throttle them.
Yeah.
You want to just grab them by the shoulders and just shake them.
That's why I can't work with those people.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
The family members, you can see it in their eyes. The family members literally want to choke them.
Yes. But and you know, as much as
and if you suffer for it, I'm sorry, I can't imagine what you're going through, but being somebody that doesn't suffer from it, it would make me feel like
it's hard to watch.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's very hard
and it's
to
hard
watch.
to understand.
And I don't understand.
Yeah.
No, I do not understand, and I would not want to put up with it at all. And I was telling Ashley just today that we started watching it, and I said, you know what though, really at this point, they've lived like this for so long.
She said that in the story. They said, what would you do if we didn't do anything? She goes, I'd just keep on going the way I have been.
Just keep on going the way you are. This woman is I don't know how old
she's probably in her 80s.
Yeah, let's say she's probably 80 years old. Just let her live her life.
But they're afraid, you know, if some medical emergency came up or if there was a fire or something like that, there's no getting them out.
Then at some point,
die.
You know, you just have to let people be. It's her life. She wants to live it like that, and the good thing about her was you didn't know it from the outside. So
yeah, it wasn't piled up outside.
No, the whole outside of her house looked fine. You would never know.
It was run down, but it wasn't like trashed up.
But it wasn't trashed up. She didn't have trash all over the place. You didn't know she was a hoarder until they walked into the house. So my feeling is, if she let her do whatever she wants to do on the inside of her own house, if she wants to live like that, let her live like that. And you know, she's this old anyway. She's lived a good life. If something happens, then she was happy, because this was literally causing her so much trauma to go through this. And she was ticked the entire episode. I'm talking about the first episode.
She was like this.
She was pouting. She was pouting. She was pouting. She was ticked off.
Whatever.
She was having to do this the entire time.
I guess.
And it is truly, truly a mental illness. You know, there's a lot of mental illnesses. This is one of them. So
this is one you can really see.
Yes. And as a person who I love to organize, especially other people's stuff. I like to organize other people's stuff or clean other people's stuff, get things tidy for them, and help them decide what they want to keep and what they want to throw away. I've done this many, many times. And I used to have a friend that she had four kids, and their toy room would be demolished. And we would go over to their house, and Kevin would work on her computer. And while Kevin worked on her computer, I was literally organizing the entire toy room, getting things together, the sets together in where they belonged, and I loved it. I was in hog heaven. That's just me. So watching Hoarders, it's like, oh my gosh, I just can't. I don't know how they deal with it. But that's it. That's all that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm sure we've watched some other things here and there, but I can't think of anything right off.
Yeah, there's probably things like I'm watching Real Housewives. I'm watching the Real Housewives shows.
We do have some other shows starting up, like Witcher's just started up. The day we're recording this, it just came out.
Yeah.
So that started, and we may or may not watch it this month, but we will watch it.
There's something else. Oh, there's all kinds of things that
Sweet Tooth is on. We haven't started that yet. There's all kinds of different stuff.
You named something else. The Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah, that's on. We haven't watched it.
The Righteous Gemstones is gold. Now, if you're a very religious person, you probably will not appreciate.
If you're offended by off-color religious humor, that's
then
a better way of saying it.
Yes, then you will not appreciate the Righteous Gemstones.
Because this is definitely poking fun at religion.
Yes, but how true is it too?
Sometimes.
Hello.
It's true with those mega churches in a lot of cases.
Yes, the mega churches, the Righteous Gemstones has them pegged. I've seen it over and over again. It's like that movie about the dogs, a Best in Show.
Oh yeah.
If you ever saw the movie Best in Show, it is literally poking fun of these people who take their dogs to dog shows. Well, there was a show on at that time about these people, a reality show that took their dogs to these shows and how they are.
They were just like
Best in Show. You would watch that movie and think, these people really aren't that way. Yes, they are, I promise you. The Righteous Gemstones, it has them pegged. Yes, they really are that way. I've seen it over and over again. So it's a good one.
Bake Off the Professional starts in the UK, just in case you're interested.
We'll be watching that.
The Amazing Race Canada starts in Canada.
We'll be watching that.
Foundation comes on soon, 14
Looking
days.
forward to that.
Breeders comes on in 32 days.
Oh, so that'll be in
Season 4.
August. I love Breeders.
American Horror Story comes on in 33 days.
I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything about the new season, but it's just, I don't know. It's every season that we watch American Horror Story, I think, why am I watching this?
It's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse and worse and worse, and it's like you're hoping for that one, that good, kind of like in
the
Black
first
Mirror.
3 seasons, it was really good. I really enjoyed the first 3, maybe even 4 seasons. But
yeah, like in Black Mirror, you're hoping for that one good,
to recapture that
really good season to be like, oh, that was awesome. I'm so glad I watched that. And you hate to miss a good season like that, so you start watching, and it's like, oh no, this one's going to be bad too.
I think that it started going downhill with that. Not that this is the discussion necessarily of this video, but I think it started going down. The worst season, the first worst season, was when they did the political thing. The neighborhood and all that stuff. That was the first bad season, and then it seems like every season after that has been just as bad.
Yeah,
the camp, I didn't enjoy that.
No,
the
1984,
the end of the world thing. The end of the world thing, and where they were in silos. I didn't like that one.
No.
There's just been it's just been. Yeah,
but I loved the first one. I love Asylum. I loved Coven.
Yeah. The carnival one.
Kevin really liked the carnival one.
You didn't like it that much, but I did.
It was graphic, but I liked it. It was a good story, but it was just graphic.
Yeah. And then I think it was after that they kind of started going
with Ma Petite. Yeah, and Jessica Lange was in it. I like Jessica Lange a lot. So, but anyway, as always, if you want to leave your recommendations below, we always listen to them, or we listen to them. We might not watch what you want us to at that time, but like Only More Murders in the Building, that was a recommendation. That the one that I mentioned, The Light, the very first one, A Small Light, that was a recommendation. So please leave your recommendations below. Let us know what you're watching. And we will see you at the end of July.